Hello, everybody, and good evening. My name is Melody McAllister, and welcome to our Thrive O'Clock broadcast and our Thrive and Edu community. Stop. My name, I just told you my name, and I am here with the outstanding Rachelle Pope. We're so glad you're here with us today, and we're looking forward to a holiday weekend after a very chaotic week. You might understand that as well. It might be a part of your life. And Rachelle and I will be welcoming educator and administrator Matthew Woods today, and we are so excited to chat with him about all the things that he's doing. But first, Rachelle, how in the world are you doing?
I'm good. And I wasn't laughing at you, but I was watching the promo, and it always makes me smile because I see all the pictures and our guests and the fun that we've had. But then I think it's on the very last one. I'm on there twice. So I started thinking when we had Weston and Molly on, I kept showing up twice. There were two of me, and I'm like, oh, there are two of me. So anyway, I'm good. I'm glad to be here with you today. It's Friday. It's a 3D three-day weekend. I was gonna say 3D weekend, 3-day weekend. And we have Matt here to talk to. So I'm excited about that as well. And totally rad. High five. So
yeah. High five. I don't know if you can tell, Rachelle, but I'm back. Like, I am not on the road anymore. I have been on the road for like a month. I wasn't able to be at all of our broadcasts, so this is wonderful. I'm in my new home. I'm so excited. This wall is going to look way better as I get to it. But yeah, do you have any plans for your 3-day weekend?
Sleeping a little bit more. Lots of work, like really a lot of things to get caught up with for school and all the things, but spending time outside for sure. So yeah, what about you?
I agree with that. So I think I'm going to read a big, stupid book tonight. I haven't read all week and I miss reading. And we're going to potty train Wit tonight. So if you are a potty trainer, like this is my last child, number 5, I have potty trained everybody else, but I'm scared about Wit. And I read, even though I potty trained 4 other kids, I'm like, we waited so long with him because we're lazy and terrible people. And so wish me luck if you have any hints. Can I give a couple of shout outs though for this week? Do you care? Okay. Nodding.
No,
okay.
Go ahead.
So this week, like you, so I am homeschooling again this year, and we started everything back. And actually I'm in my schoolroom right now. But I read these 2 books with my younger ones this week, Mr. Quigley's Keys by Barbara Gruner, and she is a faithful Thrive and Edu community member. And I wanted to give her a shout out. I almost lost it. I cried so hard. It was such a wonderful story. So just a shout out to her. And we love you, Barbara. Another story, Clara Perseveres. Oh my goodness, this is by Cindy Fan Wong, and I read this with my youngest, and then my other one came in. Like, it was just such a great story. These are both EduMatch books, but they were great to start out the week. So I just want to give 2 shout outs to them before we get back into our conversation. Thank you. Yeah. Oh my gosh, Matt. Oh my God, we're going to talk about more about potty training. Sorry. Okay. Should we bring him up?
We need to bring him up. Right. Yeah.
Let's bring the man of the hour up. Matthew, how are you doing? Yay. Rachelle, tell us all you know about Matthew.
We don't have enough time for me to go into all of the things that he does, honestly. But we have been connected and just having conversations. And I was a guest on his Where's My Pin podcast. There we go.
There you go.
I know. And I can't remember how long ago that was now. But I've been following his work, and I'm excited to talk to him today to share. I can't even talk today. It's been that kind of a week. His books, I Want to Be, that he's starting, the children's book series, and his podcast. I just listened the other day, his most recent one with Lavana Roth, which was a great conversation. And he's inspiring, and he does so much in education to help everybody. And so I'm thankful that he's joining us today.
Definitely, ladies. Thank you for having me. And as y'all were talking, I was laughing because my son's a little over 2. So if you're potty training, my wife and I would love to send them your way. Hey, we'll take all the help we can get. You said you had 5, so hey, I'll just throw Hilton in there. He can make 6, and we're good to go.
I love that. Gosh. Hilton. That is the coolest name ever. So true story. I'm going to tell you something. I want to tell you, like, a true story, Rachelle, right? True story. We're all into this.
Yeah.
So do not wait until Hilton is closer to 4 before potty training. This has not been good. I've never waited this late to potty train any of my kids. And now Wit is like flat out refusing to poop in a potty. And I'm just like, oh, this is going to be so hard. But yes, I'm so excited. Do you so you have one little guy?
One little guy.
Oh,
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. So how has your year been going so far? When did you guys start back to school?
We started back several weeks ago. The students August 16th. And yeah, we've been rocking and rolling. We've loved it. Like most folks, we've, had a couple challenges there, trying to make sure we have everything kind of set up because I think, as we all know, and to me, this year still kind of bleeds over into like the last year, year and a half, really. Um, Having an understanding of how everything should be set up, right? Once COVID happened, or pre-COVID, excuse me, we kind of all knew school, like how school is set up. The first day, this is how what school would look like. Here's the different operational things we'd have set up here, the different transitions, and then when COVID happened, right? For all of us going from in person to virtual. That
mhm,
was a huge learning shift for a lot of people. And then going into hybrid, well, that's a huge learning shift for everybody. And then going into this year in person, but then making sure you have all the mitigation stuff,
mhm.
set up correctly and going through that process. That's another huge shift for everybody. So it's just a learning curve across the board. But I am so fortunate and blessed to work in amazing school system with a lot of amazing leaders and educators. And yeah, like we're just excited to have our kids here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And where are you located again?
We were out here in Southwest Virginia. The school system I
Okay.
work in is Henry County Public Schools.
Okay.
But yeah, Southwest Virginia. So I know y'all can probably hear the accent in my
I
voice.
Yeah. I love it though.
yes,
I love
that's
the
why I was
sound of it.
wondering.
So we're a little, we're country out here, but like I said, great community, great folks, great students, and like I said, it's just so refreshing to have that sense of normalcy back. Just having the kids back
Mhm,
because last year it was just kind of surreal. I mean, obviously, working through mostly like a virtual lens and stuff, it has some advantages, but then, there's nothing like just being in a school with students, right? It's nothing like seeing the smiles on their faces, even, wearing masks. I mean,
mhm.
you could just see it on their faces, how excited they are to be with their friends, for the teachers to see them, for the administrators to see them. Yeah. So like I said, I sound kind of tired because these first couple of weeks has been a lot. Um, but like I said, I wouldn't change it.
Mhm.
It is exhausting. Like
Yeah.
just the first, we started back Monday the 23rd, and we had 2 days of PD and then clerical. And our school underwent like lots of renovations and painting, and so everything in my room was like down from the walls, and it was just like, oh my God, how am I going to get all this done? But then the kids came last Thursday, and some of them I hadn't seen since October of 2019 because I had taken a part year sabbatical for like, I started in November of 2019 and I was intending to come back middle of March, which we know would happen middle of March.
Hmm.
But some of them, like I hadn't seen, and then some I never saw the entire school year last year because they stayed virtual and they weren't always necessarily on the camera. And so when they came in, like trying to figure out who they were behind the mask. And then in
Wow.
some cases, like I have some students that grew like 6 inches and they're just like so tall. But it was a little bit not awkward to start back, but just, with all of the things that we have to do, like cleaning everything and then the spacing as opposed to last year, because it is different this year with the, 3 feet versus 6 feet and I have a lot more students, but it has been great to, try to make them laugh and be funny, even though I'm really not that funny, but it's to have those interactions in person, like it's good. So I
Yeah.
have enjoyed it.
I was gonna say, Rochelle, I bumped into a former student, and like you said, hadn't seen them in like 2 years, pretty much.
Mhm.
Um, and now that young man is in high school, but he's kind of got like a beard. And he was almost my height. And I said, wait, what? He was like, Mr. Woods, he kind of pulls mask down just enough where I could recognize him. I'm like, hey, where did all this come from? And when did you start looking me in the eye? And you really, it really has put things in context when you think about how much time has gone by. Um,
Yeah.
and you think about from the student perspective, right? You know, like year and a half, 2 years pretty much. And so much has changed. They've changed, they've matured, they've developed, they've grown. In this case, young man's got, more facial hair than I have right now. And it's like you just kind of sit there and think, wow, and it really kind of put in perspective how fortunate we are to have our students,
Hmm.
um, and how we all have to kind of work together, no matter where we're at, to do what's right for kids. And while we have them in these spaces, to make sure we're maximizing that time, because, like I said, something unfortunate like a pandemic can really kind of put a shift in things. The normal things that I guess I would say a lot of us maybe took for granted,
Hmm.
seeing
Mm.
kids every day, in person instruction, and then just knowing how fortunate we are to kind of have them back. You just want to make sure you're doing everything that you're supposed to
Right.
to keep the train moving.
Hmm.
Hmm. For sure. And I mean, I feel so blessed, just in my situation that I am able to keep my, kids home and do the schooling and the work on top of everybody here. And I was talking with another educator last night, and she was saying, most of us, not everybody by any means, not everybody, but most of us live a very charmed life if we really think about our circumstances and if we have the right mindset. And I just felt very, I just felt very convicted about that, just,
Hmm.
yeah, like it makes you, this whole last year has changed my mind about many, many things. And it is kind of junky as it has been because there's been a lot of pain and there's been a lot of like mental things that you've had to deal with this entire last year and a half with the pandemic. But but in some ways it's a good change,
Hmm.
Mhm.
not that I'm celebrating the pandemic in any way. I'm not, but yeah. But if you're, I want to know. I probably didn't say any of that right, but I want to know more. I saw on your Twitter that you are also a children's author. What's all that about?
Yeah, so thank you. So the book series, I Want to Be, it started, and it's based off my son. And to kind of give you an idea, my wife is white. I'm black, and so obviously it makes our son biracial. But one thing that obviously as Hilton was born, and even as an educator, I knew this. But being a father, you start putting things in perspective. I started just being more aware of my surroundings and paying attention to what we were putting in front of him.
Hmm.
And what
Mm,
started to happen was I started to reflect on, it's very difficult to find things that he can see himself in. Um, and I really started to pay attention, like, why am I having to, why is it so hard for me to find books that I feel like represent him? Like,
mm-hmm.
why can't I just say, walk in there and just find something? You start, at least for me, I started to put those things in perspective, right? So, my wife and I, we have a lot of transparent conversations about different things. And one birthday for me, she bought one of those books where it was like, it's kind of like your face with the child. And, I was reading through it and it was really nice. And I was like, I don't think it really looks like me. And, it was nice, and I was just giving her a hard time pulling her leg. And she was like, well, you think you can do better. Why don't you write one? And she kind of said it off the cuff. I know she was
Hmm.
being sarcastic, but it kind of just stuck with me. And I was like, I will. And she was like, all right, cool. And so, of course, I'm running off thinking, like, yeah, I'm going to do this. And that's honestly how the book series started. There's really nothing really that special about it. So I started sketching it out. And then I started thinking about, okay, what kind of occupations should he aspire to be? And he can aspire to be anything he wants to be. Like I said, that's the premise of the book series. But then I started thinking about different occupations that it might be hard for him to really kind of identify with. If you think about
Hmm.
the demographics and you think about, and that's when you get into the research, right? About, hey, how many biracial lawyers have you ever seen? Have you ever seen anyone like that?
Hmm.
The most recent one I just finished the script for is I Want to Be a Pilot.
Uh-huh.
Um, so I've really tried to do my research and think about it from that lens. But then also, too, the educator in me really kind of reflects on the conversations. And I know you all probably had these conversations with families as well. When you hear parents say, like, I really want my child to do this, be a doctor, be a software developer, be a lawyer, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But they really don't know the steps to get there. Like, they want their child to be successful and do whatever, but now we're starting to talk about, do you understand that you have to take certain licensure tests? It's
Right.
not just getting a degree.
Yeah.
Do you know you have to do internships? Do you know what type of internships you should get? Do you know that when we talk about, I'll just say being a pilot, that's a very broad statement, that you can be a pilot on a lot of different types of aircraft, like airplanes, helicopters, spaceships. I mean, you have to, I think, sometimes help put those nuggets out there, or those breadcrumbs, to one, spark that verbiage, the vocabulary. Because I might not know something, but if I know what to ask, it's going to lead me down that rabbit hole later.
Mm-hmm.
And then doing it in a way that the child and then also the parent can really kind of make sense of the story. So all the stories pretty much start off the same way. I'm like sitting in his room, reading to him, pretty much saying something like, every night think about what I want to be. And then it kind of leads into him with his little big head, little baby head on the body of the profession. And then the story kind of talks about him having these dreams about it. And it always ends with him still sitting in my lap, falling asleep. And it started and it was just amazing. I wrote out the first 5 and I just initially just self-published it. Just because I was like, hey, I just want to get this out here to folks, because I had kind of shared the idea with people, and a lot of folks were reaching out to me saying, hey, I think this would be great for my kids. And then I was afforded the opportunity that Codebreaker reached out to me. So shout out Brian, if you're watching this, the CEO.
Mm-hmm.
And he loved the message. He loved the stories. And so from there, I kind of got a book contract for the series.
Wow.
And we're going to be re-releasing the second edition of them very soon, probably in the next month or so. And we're going to re-release the first 5. And then from there, I've sketched out the next 2 in the series. And you'll get to really kind of follow Hilton's journey. So the first 4, and you'll actually see him grow with the series. So the first 4 is when he was 1 year old. So you'll actually see a picture of him, the real picture of him in the book. And then the next 3, which will be book 5, 6, and 7, are then him when he's 2 years old. So you'll kind of see him develop. And once again, then you'll see the picture of him as he's 2 years old. So it's kind of like my gift to him. It's something really special, something I'm real passionate about. And that's pretty much the series.
I have to say that my favorite is the I want to be a lawyer, just because but I remember when and I can't remember, like I had looked at, I always look at the reviews, the book reviews. So for anybody who's watching, like it's really important, if you read a book, post a review on Amazon, because that helps other people who are looking to purchase it. It helps the authors because like they need your feedback. And even like, I love getting direct messages, like people have sent me emails or on Twitter or whatever, and just says like, I read your book, I like this. And I'm like, post on Amazon. And I try to do that. Like I need to do more of that because I really do look at them. But I remember, Matt, looking at yours for that one. And one of the reviews on there, I think the guy said something like that, he read it to his son. And he basically said like, and now I'm expecting a lawyer. So thank you.
Yeah.
He's like, he listened very closely or something. And now I'm expecting a lawyer. So like the 2 thumbs up on that one. But even like the meteorologist and stuff, I think is another one of yours, right? Just like they're just interesting because it's like you're telling the story, and it's great for parents to read to their kids, but even just to think about different careers and wonder what they're about, because like we see that the people talking about the weather on TV, but like what's involved in that, and like, would I be interested in that? So I love the different topics, but again, my favorite is the lawyer one.
I appreciate it, Rochelle. And like you said too, it's getting. I think sometimes we really discredit um, how powerful vocabulary is, and just knowing a term or just hearing a term because it
Mhm.
sparks that curiosity.
Right.
And I know that I've like, and I think about my son, right? And I think about some of the things he's saying now and doing and interacting with, and only being two, and it's really showing me the power of exposure. Um, just exposing people sometimes to something, even with kids, right,
Mhm.
leads that curiosity. I think about some of the things that it, like throughout my career, and I tell people this story all the time. Even being an educator, I didn't know it was possible to get a graduate assistantship to work on your doctorate until I
Mhm.
was an assistant principal and a professor at Penn State had made an offhand comment to me when we were talking because they were interested in some of the work I was doing way back when. And I remember and I keep that in mind because you wouldn't assume, hey, he's supposed to be an administrator. Of all people, he's educated. He should know that. But sometimes we make assumptions, right? We all do
Mhm.
that. And I think that's one of the reasons why in the book or in the book series, I'm very intentional about some of the words that I use. Um,
Mhm.
and because I really want kids to think about, I want parents to think about it. Like if you're not familiar with a term, I hope that sparks your curiosity because your kid's going to come to you and ask you, like, what does he
Mhm.
mean by this? Like, so can you give me some examples, mom or dad or grandma, who's ever reading the book, right? So I think that's when that's what I love to see about the book. And I've had when folks make those comments to me, like you had said, Rochelle, like, hey, when I read this occupation or heard that, it really kind of sparked something in me and had me thinking about that. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so we're getting close. We have about 8 minutes. We're going to talk about your podcast for sure. And
Okay.
so, Rachelle, so tell us a little bit about your podcast. Rachelle, have you already been a guest? I didn't
I
realize that.
Yeah, I just dropped the link in there just in
Oh, good.
case anybody wants to listen to it. Yeah, and it was back in the spring of this
Hmm.
year, and this pin, like, I can't tell you what he went through to get me this pin.
Because people kept, didn't somebody steal it or like kept breaking
Twice,
into envelope like
twice.
twice? So I didn't
Yeah.
realize that those pins are so popular. So for the people
y-
stealing them and selling them, y'all aren't cutting me a check. I promise you.
I
But
know, because I
Wait, but
the
you,
first envelope came, and it was like, it was just, I pulled it out of the mailbox, and I'm like, is empty. But it was just the strangest, mysterious thing. And I felt terrible. I was like, and I didn't know what was in it at the time. And I said, there was just like an empty envelope. And so then next time he sent another one, and same thing. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. So third time I actually got the pin. So
and I
so
actually
does
had
everybody that's on your podcast get a pin?
yes, yes, they do. And it's ironic. I actually had a guest recently who said the same thing. Um, I had sent one out and they were like, hey, Matt, like they sent me a picture like, hey, I got your letter. Thank you. But they showed me where someone had ripped open the envelope and then taped it back. And I was just like, and I mean, it's happened, um, unfortunately, like 4 or 5 times to different guests. So apparently, people love the buttons. If you reach out to me, I'm not hard to find. Um, they only go to guests who've been on the show, but especially if you're an educator and you really want one, reach out to me. I'd love to have you as a guest, and we can hook you up.
Yeah, that is awesome. Do you want to tell us a little bit? I know that you had one of our community members, Lavana Roth, was on your last one. You want to talk about
Yeah.
that, or do you guys want to play a game? Tell me what you want to do. I
we
just
want to
want to
do
honor
both.
everybody's time.
We want to do both.
Yeah, I can tell you a real quick blurb about the podcast. So the podcast, funny story. When I was in graduate school, I had a buddy who loved to make fun of my accent. And he's like, man, you're just so country, because he's talking to me, and he just said, but man, you've got really good ideas, and it was kind of a joke. He's like, yep, there goes Matt again. He's always leading out the woods, and it just kind of stuck. And I was like, that's kind of
Oh,
catchy. But like I said, this was several years
yeah.
ago. So then he was like, hey Matt, I think you should write a blog. I'm like, man, I'm too busy to write a blog. I don't have time. And I say that, and I've got all this other stuff going on, right? So I was like, I don't have time for a blog. And he said, you should think about a podcast. And I said, well, I'll kind of think of, I'll consider it. And from there, the idea just really kind of stuck with me for several years. And what started happening was I started thinking about how many folks don't have a way of connecting with amazing educators all across the country. And
Mhm.
I've been very fortunate throughout my career where I've made several connections with amazing folks everywhere. And what I did was I just leveraged it. I said, hey, I got this idea. And from there, it started off as self-reflections. Then I started, saying, hey, Matt, you should contact so-and-so to be on your show. And then from there, it's really just become a life of its own. I mean, folks are always suggesting different people. We've had a lot of amazing folks like Rachelle. I mean, like I tell everybody, if you look on there, we've had some real powerhouses, and it's just been great. It's given me a lot to think about in my career to build me up. But what really makes me feel good is seeing the countless emails, the countless DMs that I get. Like, hey Matt, I love this topic, or hey, did you think about this? Because that's really how Rachelle got on the show. Like her name popped up from several folks. It was like, hey, I know somebody you should really kind of connect with. And like
Mhm.
I said, we made it happen. So
That's awesome. Well, I will definitely check it out, and I hope others do too. And you can find everything about you at www.leadingoutofthewoods.com. That's where you can find about your book series and your blog and your everything and your podcast. So that's wonderful. Okay, I don't mean to rush. We've got about 3 minutes left, and I know you want to play this game, rapid fire. Let's end our
rapid
broadcast
fire.
on a fun note. And I'm just going to ask you some questions. They're not even serious questions. And all you have to do is say the first thing that comes to your mind.
okay.
Okay? All right. And if
Right.
you're watching and you want to play, we would love to. Rachelle, I'm not going to be able to see the screen. So if somebody comments, will you put their comment up on the screen?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Here we go. First question. Just tell me what you think. 3 heroes that you love, like just 3 of your heroes.
3 heroes: Deborah Powell, my mom;
Mm-hmm.
Sandy Strayer, my boss; Black Panther, the comic book hero.
Nice.
All right. Rachelle?
Oh, now I have to change my answers because when you said heroes, I just thought of like superheroes. I was like Wonder Woman. It's like
Your
Wonder Woman
Wonder
right
Woman
here.
is good.
Yeah.
Can't
Yeah.
change your answer.
So my
It's rapid
parents.
fire.
I mean, I'm just gonna say all includes like my family, like my small family, my family, Wonder Woman, and you, Mel. You're my hero.
Oh my God, I love you. You're my hero. I love you. Stop it. Okay. You win. Okay. All right. Here's another one. Your favorite sandwich.
Started with me.
Yep.
Okay.
No, it's
Philly
rapid.
cheese-
You guys are
Philly
really
cheesesteak.
slow at this.
Philly cheesesteak.
Ooh. Philly cheesesteak sounds good. I don't normally eat sandwiches that often, but I could totally go for like the Philly cheesesteak, but a burger with barbecue, bacon, cheese, like lots of barbecue. Yeah. It's not really a sandwich, it's
Talk
a
about a
burger.
heart
I know.
attack.
I know what you're thinking, but
It's not a sandwich. It's a heart attack and some bread. I love it. Okay.
yeah.
Wonderful. Okay. Yes or no? Are you ticklish?
Yes.
No.
You know what? You guys are really slow at this. I'm sorry, but like seriously, let's speed it up. Okay, it's rapid fire. Okay.
Okay.
Next question. How often do you laugh? Don't lie.
All the time.
All the
All
time.
the time.
Yep. Inside and outside.
Like inside of yourself or inside of the house?
Like okay, that too.
Okay. Okay. Wonderful. Okay. Which do you prefer, sweet or savory?
Savory.
Sweet.
I'm savory as well. All right, your best academic subjects.
History and social studies.
French and Spanish.
I knew that. Nice. Matt, I actually knew that about you. I almost made us do social studies trivia, but I could not find any
Oh
good
my gosh.
questions. So I was like, scrap that. We're doing rapid fire. That is so wonderful. And I'm, Rachelle, obviously, again, not surprised. Okay, we are one last question. All right, your favorite potato chip.
Oh boy.
Ooh.
I am a fan of barbecue, but I do like the plain
Ruffles.
Utz, ridged, rippled, whatever they're called.
Ruffles, cheddar, and sour cream.
Those are good too. That's a good one.
Yes. Yes, I love that. Yeah, anything with cheese or sour cream is all right with me, also leading to a heart attack. So yes. I have had such a fun time with you guys today. It is the end of our show, but I always ask our guests, and I always ask our guests, do you have any last words that you would like to share with us before we say goodbye?
No, thank you all for having me on here. For all the educators listening, keep up the great work. Like I said, these last couple of years have been just crazy. We're all learning on the fly. I encourage everybody to continue to connect and collaborate and network with one another, because the most important thing we can do is just continue to learn from each other to do what's best for all of our kids.
That's right. I love it. Rachelle, any last words?
Just follow up what Matt said, the importance of being connected and how much our relationships matter, because like we all know, in some cases we haven't met in person, but we form these friendships and this community, and it's just good to have that in all the challenges, the good times, the bad times, laughing and all of that. So just make time to make those connections happen, and make time to rest this weekend too.
Yes, or read a romance book, whatever you need to do to chill a little bit. You deserve it. And with that, we will say goodbye, everybody. Bye-bye. See you one month. Nope. See you
We'll see
another
you
week.
next Friday. Yep. 1 week.